Hi guys, Ian here, welcome to my channel and to another video. And I want to just have a little chat to you today about, I don't know, I guess it's about human nature and spiritual evolution. Because today a lot of things have been going through my mind, and as you know, when I have that kind of experience of things churning up within me, then I tend to make a video. And I was chatting to a friend of mine who is on a similar spiritual path, and I said to him that sometimes I experience kickback against, well, it feels like kickback. And I realise it's because part of me tends to think that, sorry, my dogs are going berserk here. No, stop! Part of me tends to equate spiritual development with, I don't know, goody two-shoesness, if you like, being good and nice, and I don't know. I think it's an echo, I think, of my time in the church, and I'm certainly not kicking Christianity now, but for the longest time, my experience of church and what I was taught within church was that really spiritual growth and moving towards union with divinity, which really is the purpose of all spiritual paths, of all occult studies, is the refining of self. It is the evolution of soul, that we move more towards our ultimate potential, which is, well, it's the spiritual experience of Keter, I suppose, union with God, union with Source, the full realization of our potential as divine sparks. And yeah, in the church that I went to, pretty much anything that was enjoyable was sinful. And that instilled in me, I think, a tendency to think spirituality and humanity, if you like, were incompatible, and that the refining of self is the shedding away of anything that is, I don't know, to the satisfaction of the human side of myself. We talked in some previous videos, didn't we, about the aspect of soul that is nefesh, that is associated most closely with the body and life in physical manifestation. And I have to be careful because I can drift into this. It's almost like a subconscious association that spiritual growth means the casting off of physical life, which is completely not right. But we do have to guard. We have to guard ourselves from thinking that the two are incompatible, spirituality and our physical humanity. Now, what this has caused me to think about, and what has helped me to reframe, if you like, where I'm at, is the concept of, the dweller on the threshold, which now in occult teachings, the dweller on the threshold can best be described as those aspects of ourselves that are bound up with our humanity, the sum total of what it means to live and experience a physical, material world. The sum total of what we are, if we take away our higher spiritual self, which is often represented by the term the angel of the presence, the higher self, the holy guardian angel. Now, what I found very interesting when I look at these two aspects of self is how we're advised in occult teaching to approach them. So, the dweller on the threshold, which is the sum total of what I am as an animal being with a physical body, in a finite life here on earth. But so that will be the sum total of my personal experiences, but not only that, because when we are born, there's so much we inherit, like genetic memories, genetic traits, instinctive, content that isn't ours by direct life experience, but is ours by inheritance from our ancestors and from our racial memories, and how the Dweller of the Threshold contains all of that, contains all of those influences which we then find manifest in our own lives, which, as I've said, is a combination of our own experience and those things that we are born with. So Dweller on the Threshold, yeah, I think Jung called it the shadow, the dark aspect of ourselves, that of us which is bound up to living in Malkut, if you like. And then on the other side, Holy Guardian Angel, the angel of the presence, higher self, which is the higher soul. So we're talking about the Ruach and the Neshama. And how our job is to reconcile these two. It's not to shed the Dweller on the Threshold, to cast it aside, to jettison it as if it's some kind of unwanted baggage, because it's what we are. We, as human beings, we are a combination. We are soul, spirit, physical beings. We can't just cut off the Dweller of the Threshold, part of us. It's been referred to as, the third aspect of divinity, because creation is a divine expression. It's the fulfillment of a divine urge. So therefore, the physical world, the Dweller on the Threshold, is as holy as the angel of the presence. They're all part of divinity and the divine expression. So we don't shed that aspect of ourselves and cling to the angel of the presence, because in doing that, we are incomplete. We are unbalanced. And the whole thing about Kabbalah and the teachings of Kabbalah on the Tree of Life is it's about balance. It's about integration, not about extremism on either side. And so the work that we have as students of the mysteries and students of the occult, or whatever we want to call ourselves, is this integration of the Dweller on the Threshold and the angel of the presence. So what does that mean then? Well, to me, what it means is recognizing and working through and moderating and fulfilling those aspects of my Dweller on the Threshold self that need to be worked through. And as I've said, that isn't just stuff from my own experience, my own direct experience. It's my inherited experience. It's all the things that have come before which have brought me to who and what I am right now. And so how do we even start doing that? Well, the first thing is we have to come to a place where we recognize those two aspects of ourselves, the Dweller on the Threshold and the angel of the presence. And some say that that can only happen after we have had our first experience of that flash of enlightenment, revelation, if you like, insight that causes us to see that there is a difference, that we are more than just one thing. Now, some people, right, they go through their lives, don't they? They have no concept of their own spiritual dimension. When you talk to them about spiritual things, they are not interested. They can't understand. It doesn't mean anything to them. Now, this is perhaps an example of what's being said here, that they don't recognize the duality of themselves because they've not had that flash of seeing of their angel of the present self. Because once you've had that flash, you can see, well, actually there's that and there's this. And this is where our spiritual journey will often start, being able to see that there is a difference between the two. And from then on, that's where our work starts, of the understanding of self, of, I guess it's a bit, in some ways it's like a spiritual psychoanalysis where we bring up from the depths of ourselves, if you like, those aspects of self which give us understanding of who and what we are. And it's like we bring them up through our various spiritual practices from the depths and into the light, where we can see them, where we can understand them, where we know what they are, where we know how they affect us, where the awareness of the higher self is expanded, where the mysteries of what lies beneath, if you like, within ourselves is slowly revealed. But that isn't a casting aside of what we are as physical beings. So what does it mean then? And I don't have the answer here. I'm aware, right, that I'm not even knowing what I'm going to be saying next, because I'm trying to, gain that insight myself. What is it that I kick against sometimes when I feel that? When I feel that I don't want to become too much of the angel of the presence. I don't want to abandon that aspect of myself which lies in the dweller on the threshold. Where I want to experience both of those states as fully and completely as I can. To me, it feels like a bringing of my whole self with me in my spiritual journey, and not a leaving of part of myself behind, if that makes any sense at all. So, yes. So the answer would seem to be, rather than focusing exclusively on understanding and experiencing the angel of the presence aspect of our higher self, what is right to do is to try and explore both aspects, to get to know ourselves as the angel of the presence, but also what it means to be the dweller on the threshold, and all of the things that comprise that aspect of ourselves, to know them, to understand them, to, as is the great work of the alchemist, to transmute them from base metal into gold. that we don't abandon half of ourselves, but that we take that aspect of ourselves with us as we evolve and as we transcend the limitations that we face in our daily life. Well, I'm just aware that that might sound quite cryptic, really, because it sounded quite cryptic to me. So I guess what the conclusion I'm coming to is that I don't have the answer for myself on how I am going to do this fully and completely, but I know that it's what I want to do. It's like I've got the directional signpost which shows me where I need to head, but I don't yet know all of the situations and circumstances that I'm going to encounter on that journey. So yeah, thanks for listening for my mad ramblings, and chat to you guys again soon. Bye for now.